These days, all my mind goes to is what's next. It shouldn't be a surprise to anyone watching this that we're just a few days shy of our grand reveal of what's coming to Halo. I couldn't be more excited. But what is Halo? How do you even define something as simple as that? What makes a game a Halo game? What does a Halo game feel like? What does it look like? What does it sound like? The truth is, there's no right answer. Anyone can tell you anything is what defines the franchise. It's the grunt sounds, it's the lighting, it's the multiplayer's movement system. Little things can be everything, and the grand overall scheme could mean nothing to some. It's completely subjective. But I'm going to take my interpretation of all that to tell you what Halo is to me, and how that translates to what I think Halo could be. Combat Evolved scratched an itch. It was one I didn't even know I had, and one I hadn't even really remembered until relatively recently. Since its re-release on PC, issues aside, I've been spending some time reminiscing on what this game is all about. I recalled the first time I'd ever played, and how that haunting, pounding drums and guitar would paint the canvas of who I am today. Everything about that game was just so interesting and mysterious. The game certainly didn't go out of its way to explain anything either, but that only added to the immersion into the experience. As an adult, I've realized that somehow the magic of this game still holds up. Revisiting it on MCC, I blasted through the first mission. I made my way to the final life pod, chucking a soldier at my feet, my eyes locked to the ring ahead of me. This mysterious and foreboding structure. It looked so serene and ancient. Something that was so simple, yet infinitely complicated. All just at a simple glance. I'd thought back to experiencing this moment for the first time as a child. As the life pod crashed below, I felt the fear and stakes. It felt like everything could end in just a moment. I stepped out of the life pod and I was forced to gaze at all that lay in front of me. This was nothing like Mortal Kombat or Tony Hawk. This moment told me that I didn't know what was coming next. The way that the game just suddenly opens up, it's nothing short of jaw-dropping. The soft strings drive tension deep into my subconscious. As if this isn't even the music, but my mind itself telling me that I have no way of knowing what lay beyond these lush green hills, so I need only tread carefully. After rescuing Johnson's platoon, I peered off into the distance, as more life pods dashed by on the horizon. Suddenly I was off, through this rather unnatural cave. After crossing the light bridge, this triumphant horn kicked in. And accentuated this sudden feeling of freedom that I had. There's survivors around here, but I don't know where they are. I'd better start exploring. This is something I really need to stop and contemplate here. This mission, this essence, and what it tells you to do is so simple, but it's completely open-ended. You can do this any way you like. Do you want to pistol your way around like Jesse James? Do you stumble across a sniper rifle and decide you want to take the enemies out one by one from a range where they can't reach you? Maybe you want to tackle everything head-on with the assault rifle, or you just want to spam grenades everywhere and nuke everything in sight. Maybe you want to run everything over with your Warthog even. The game doesn't ask you to play any particular way. It simply presents the sandbox to you and lets you do the talking. This is something that I believe Halo has lost to time. But hold your tongue, because this isn't a simple 343 did it bad, Bungie's better. This is a Bungie abandoned this freedom in favor of spectacle. That's not necessarily a bad thing. The future Halo titles did lean on the sandbox in much the same way, with the general exception of Halo 5 almost completely abandoning the idea of utilizing the sandbox in favor of empowering your character. But what the future titles, and really even the later levels of this game deviated from, was that open-ended idea of exploration. Halo Combat Evolved flirted with this idea of a completely open-ended area that was entirely up to you to interpret, but quickly abandoned its own concept of this just as it had arrived. I find that Halo 2 and 3 almost completely abandoned the idea of exploration in the campaigns. I adore these campaigns for their unique aspects. Halo 2's story is a masterpiece, and its balancing act of the sandbox is excellent. But it would be even better if each level was open-ended and allowed for complete agency. What we got in Halo Combat Evolved was beautiful. It was a beautiful mix of gameplay, atmosphere, and score, but I think it could have been more. This is my absolute favorite franchise of all time. It's not even a question. I like it better than anything any other form of media has offered. The franchise has been defined by this style of development, and anytime it's veered off that path, we've noticed. But I want to take that idea and expand upon it. The truth is, while I think Halo has done some exceptional things throughout its life, it's truly never reached its potential, and the closest it got was in that second mission on Combat Evolved. I'm reminded of the E3 2000 trailer for Combat Evolved, that displayed this almost absurdly open-ended world that seemed to trade what the game ultimately offered for a more simplistic overall take on the world. This as it wasn't something that I'd prefer over what we ultimately got, but again it flirts with the idea of what Halo truly could be. These soldiers cruising across these rolling hills through all kinds of terrain, all these wild creatures running by, there's really no complete concept here, though for 2000 I can understand being amazed at all of these complex character models and environments, matched with the vehicular travel not really being like anything anyone had seen up until then. What's truly odd is how completely this concept was abandoned. You don't really see any open-ended environments or exploration incentivized in later titles. You do see some backpedaling through the environments, but Bungie was much better in the later titles about revisiting areas in much more exciting ways. Halo 2 did such an excellent job of completely utilizing the sandbox to the best of its ability, in the sense of providing you with different missions contextually designed and varied in such a way that there's no stagnation. It all feels different. But it still asks of you that you follow the path. Stay on the line that you're intended to travel. You can kill in any way you like, but you have to stay within the confines and orders that are asked. Halo 3 isn't dramatically different from 2, but it does a lot to display these gorgeous set pieces designed to truly give a sense of scale. I will never forget the first time I watched as a Covenant cruiser blasted overhead. And certainly not when the UNSC Forward Unto Dawn came soaring into view. I still don't fully understand how Bungie managed to make this look so impressive 13 years ago. I feel the need to bring up Halo 3 ODST. While ODST clearly attempted to illustrate that idealized form of exploration and discovery, it failed to truly allow an open-ended experience. If you traversed the world and found one of the items used to trigger a mission in the incorrect order, you'd end up with a mission that puts you into a story at the wrong plot beat, like opening a book to a random chapter and expecting to keep up. However, there is legitimate reward for discovering the audio journals and kind of learning about the story outside the story, and how humanity processed everything that went down in New Mabasa. That's something that was so effective at really giving this world a weight. Halo 4 really seems to exist in a campaign structure sense, more so to really just carry the story forward. As to me, it does essentially nothing to open up the Halo sandbox. Halo 5, however, once again flirts with the idea of opening it all up. This really odd, disjointed attempt to incorporate almost RPG-esque elements was almost certainly 343's way of trying to fit that sort of thing into the Halo gameplay, and I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest to see this return in a big way in Infinite. These zones are fairly uninspired, and almost feels like every half-assed hub area in The Division or The Division 2. I'm not a fan of 343 incorporating these elements simply because it feels as if it only exists to sort of put their foot into the door of that idea. But as I've said before, the drum of Halo 5 has been beaten to the point where it hardly makes a sound. All that leaves is what comes next. The truth is, there is no one thing that makes Halo what it is. But to me, it's the marriage of gameplay, story, and music all firing on all cylinders to create this kind of harmonic experience that plays to your senses. We sit here on the brink of finding out what Halo Infinite is all about, and we're really not too sure exactly what we can expect from it. We've gotten next to nothing from 343 Industries regarding the game, with the exception of some sweet toys leaking on occasion. But we do have the Slipspace Engine trailer. When you watch this trailer, all it leaves to the mind is speculation. But there's this constant gnawing at me as I watch this trailer that just tells me we're looking at an open-worlded experience. Given what we know about this ring and what we know about the world, I imagine a massively expanded sandbox for this title, and I think there's evidence for such a thing. Let's look at what we talked about in the past and see how it translates forward. I'm once again bringing up that E3 2000 trailer for Combat Evolved and all the different locations it showcased. I feel that this trailer is meant to emulate that as much as possible, albeit with extreme advances in graphical fidelity and technology. There's a fixation on wildlife in this. We even see herds roaming along and traveling. This is very much similar to that old trailer, and the animals you just sort of see roaming around in the background. I imagine this teases the idea of there truly being native creatures on the Halo that we can just sort of find naturally exploring the environment, and given exactly how they're displayed, I think they may actually even have behavior patterns that translate to them sleeping, roaming, and eating, etc. The kicker for me is seeing the Marines here with their smoke signal. This isn't dissimilar to that mission in Halo Combat Evolved, where the world sort of opens up out of nowhere, and you have to choose where you want to go and what you want to do, and when you want to do it. Now, what suddenly seems to be a completely different environment shows the Chief taking them to their rescue. Not only that, we have 2 beam emitters in eyesight. They're both fleshed out geometric objects that are actually being rendered in the engine for this shot. This to me indicates that both of these beam emitters are able to be traveled to. And on top of that, just the sheer distance initially between the Chief and the flare is fairly impressive, but it's more than that. It's the focus on the wildlife. It's the focus on all of these diverse and unique environments. It's these incredible vistas that lay before us and leave the promise of something that Halo has been destined to do since its creation. It's the different weather we see throughout the trailer, the different times of day throughout, and the transition from night to day being completely realized within it. Even 343 has indicated their focus on all of this. With this interview with Dan Chosich talking about the early trailers for Halo Combat Evolved and how they wanted to tap into that, they talk about a living world with places in the distance that you can simply travel to. All of these ideas together tie into this interwoven ecosystem concept. This world is described as being a place you want to live in and want to protect. I know it's a dirty word for some, but I am expecting a semi to completely open world experience for Halo Infinite. And I expect a day and night cycle, with native creatures that will flow through the world in a really seamless manner. There's really so much at stake with the launch of Halo Infinite. The amount of pressure that 343 must feel by now is truly indescribable. Listening to the developers talk about this expansive world teeming with life, describing it as a place that you would want to live in, all these things just whistle in my ear that 343 has decided to look to what Halo could be as opposed to what it should be. Guys, now that we've kind of wrapped up here, I want to once again say thank you so much for the support. I want to talk about the Discord, because the Discord has blown up. All of a sudden, we've got people regularly having conversations and talking and discussing things, and we're posting memes, and people are posting art and whatnot. Everything is kind of exploding, and it's incredible, and I'm so excited about it. But I want to once again say, if you're watching this video right now, and you like Halo, and you like playing custom games, I'm trying to build a community with my friends, and we're trying to make it so that you have a place to go to do that. We want to always be having custom games running. We want to always be having conversations about Halo in a friendly, safe environment that people can just kind of jump in and jump out, without concern. So if you want to be a part of that, that Discord link is, again, right here in the description. We would love to see you come join this community, because we want as many people as we possibly can coming in here talking about all this stuff and just having a good time. And obviously, it's cool for me to have so many people in a community. I won't lie about that. Now, guys, next community night, I was thinking of doing this on Friday. And as a reminder, this one is going to be Xbox only. But actually, we're not going to do it on Friday, because something occurred to me that makes way more sense. So on Thursday, that stream is happening where we get the Halo Infinite reveal. So we're going to seg straight from the Infinite reveal. So 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to start that stream up. And then we're going to go probably till 4 or 5, honestly. We're just going to run the jewels, dude. We're going to let it go for as long as we can. We're just going to keep on going. From 11 to 1, we're going to be watching the Xbox content coverage, which apparently the pre-show has some reveals. So I'm curious about that. I want to definitely be able to depict that and show that on stream. But after that, we should just jump right into custom games. I think that's what we're going to go ahead and do. Guys, I have 4 people on Patreon supporting me now. I want to give a shout out to them real quick. So obviously, we've got our homie Colton Pack, who was the first supporter of the Patreon. So big shout out to you, Colton. And then we've got Anthony Berry here, who joined second. We've got Starside here, who joined as well. And actually, we've got Rye, who actually chose to pledge $10 a month. So a huge shout out to you, Rye. Thank you so much, guys. I cannot believe that you guys have decided to support me on this platform here. And it makes me so appreciative. because it's just putting us one step closer to having a sustainable way to do this, and for me to just continue to do this, you know, kind of as a job. I'd love to be able to do it as a job. It would be fantastic if we could do it like this. Thank you guys so much again for coming out here and watching this content. I hope you guys enjoyed what we talked about here today, and I hope you got something out of it. I put a lot into this one. This was a big one for sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much. Again, you know, check out the Discord. Check me out on Twitter. Again, I want to push the Twitter just because I think I post funny polls on there. I mean, I post the polls on the community page on YouTube too. So, I mean, obviously you're more than welcome to check that out, which I very much enjoy doing. But I do the same kind of thing on Twitter. Sometimes I do different polls over there. And sometimes I'll update statuses. But that's it. That's really it, guys. Thank you guys so much. I'm having a blast, and I hope you guys are too. You have a good one.